The scene begins with an injured coroner crawling along the floor after being brutally attacked by Art the Clown. He picks up the phone to dial 911 as Art looks into the mirror and writes his name, Art, on the mirror with blood. He then grabs a reflex hammer to kill the coroner. The clown breaks his skull and tears it apart, removing his inner organs, including the brain and eyeballs. Spoiler ahead, watch out. Then, he goes to a laundromat in his bloodied clothing, without the permission of the sleeping employee. Art removes his suit and throws it into the washing machine. The clown is seen reading the newspaper until the clothes are done, and suddenly discovers a small girl wearing clown makeup. She walks towards Art and begins playing along with him. When the employee wakes up, he notices Art playing alone, making viewers wonder that the little girl was just a creation of his imagination. A little later, we could see Art exiting the laundromat shortly after killing the employee with a mop handle. We are moved on to a year later, to a girl called Sienna Shaw in her candle-lit bedroom. She's committed to completing her homemade Angel Warrior Halloween outfit, featuring wings along with a sword. The outfit is very special to her because it was put together by her departed father, who passed away from a brain tumor. While dinner with her family, Barbara, the mother of the kids, questions about her brother, Jonathan's Halloween costume. Jonathan declares a desire to dress himself as the renowned clown serial killer, causing his sister and mother to speak out against that idea. Following dinner, Sienna talks about her brother's interest in serial killers with her mother, Barbara, whereas Jonathan, who is upstairs, investigates the prior year's murder incidents involving Art the Clown. Later that night, Sienna has a dream about going to a clown cafe and meeting Art the Clown. He begins happily entertaining everyone while throwing out candies, but Sienna looks unhappy from beginning to end. When it's Sienna's turn, Art gives her a very horrible vibrating heart and worms inside the box. The box then begins to fill with blood, and Art ultimately ends his act by grabbing out a submachine gun and shooting everyone. Despite this, Sienna escapes and attempts to escape. The clown uses a flamethrower to burn the rest of the guests and their guitarist. After burning the premises with a flamethrower, the clown approaches Sienna to kill her off. As the clown prepares to set her on fire, Sienna pulls the warrior's weapon, which was shown in her bedroom, to protect herself. She awakens unexpectedly to discover her costume's wings on fire, then steps to stop the fire. But with no use of her efforts, she rushes to leave the room to call her mother. Barbara then arrives with a fire extinguisher. The mother is clearly annoyed and begins scolding Sienna for leaving her candles lit while sleeping. Sienna, on the other hand, claims to have blown the candles already. After her mother leaves, she walks to her room to find out what is left and discovers that the sword which her father handed her remains undamaged. On the other side of the story, Art the Clown and the little clown girl are enjoying a chat show with Vicky, the only survivor from the initial movie, whose face has been severely damaged. The clown crushes the television. The next morning at school, Jonathan is in class and requests to use the bathroom. On his way to the bathroom, he finds Art the Clown and the little girl playing with a dead opossum. When they spot Jonathan, they throw the dead opossum at him. Frightened, Jonathan flees until he meets a teacher who chooses to investigate the incident, only to discover the dead opossum there. At the same time, Sienna and her high school companions are having a chat about how Art the Clown's survivor. Back to Jonathan, his mother is clearly upset to find that he has been suspended from school since the teacher believes he brought the dead opossum to the school. Sienna and one of her friends, Allie, go to a costume shop after leaving school to get a pair of new wings. While Sienna is exploring, Allie stumbles upon Art the Clown, but doesn't look twice because she thinks it's a normal person costumed in that clothes. Soon after, Sienna notices Art in the shop, staring and smiling at her. This scares her, so she hurries to the cashier to make her payment, only to discover that she has left her belongings downstairs. But suddenly, Art places her bag on the table, surprising her. The clown continues to stay around, performing crazy movements behind her. As the vendor proceeds to grab a bag, Art arrives and begins scaring her, which unavoidably leaves the girl uneasy. When the vendor notices this, he suddenly scolds him, and Sienna decides she is not going to remain any more time and leaves right away. After she goes, Art closes the store and then locks the door. He walks towards the vendor, carrying a large bag. As he prepares to pay for his purchase, he pulls out several pieces of tools from his bag, and that annoys the vendor and prompts him to shout at Art. Without expressing anything, Art crushes a bottle against his skull and puts the sharp edge into the unfortunate man's eye. He then, cruelly, chops up the vendor. Sienna returns back home safely and falls into a discussion with her brother Jonathan, who explains his experience that he saw the clown at school, along with a small girl whose face he had previously seen in their father's sketchbook. He gets started showing his sister the pages, especially the one that includes an unpleasant sketch of Art the clown together with other murder victims from the previous year. On the final page, he shows her a sketch of Sienna in her warrior outfit, carrying a beast's head in her hand. Jonathan insists that the old pictures must have a reason, as their father gave Sienna a warrior sword, but Sienna does not believe him. Barbara, the mother, interrupts them to tell Sienna that Jonathan has been suspended from school for carrying a dead opossum to the school premises. Sienna displays her displeasure with her brother's behavior, and just prior to her leaving the room, Jonathan requests his sister remain home on Halloween night since he feels that something bad is about to happen, but Sienna ignores him. On the other hand, Art visits Allie's house, and she meets him enthusiastically due to the fact she recognized him from the costume shop. She tells him that she cannot find anything for him before closing the door, but he continues hitting on the door, which angers Allie. She reopens the door, throws some sweets into his bag, and quickly finds the blood-stained tools inside his bag. Afraid, she hides inside and keeps watching Art leave. A few hours later, Allie prepares for Halloween when she gets distracted by the sound of a glass smashing. She walks downstairs to discover one of the glass doors damaged, and to her amazement, Art is leisurely chilling in the kitchen. This upsets her, so she runs away, and Art follows her. Unfortunately, the uncontrollable clown catches her and cuts her face using a knife, then violently skinning and destroying her body with various knives and sharp pieces of equipment. He then pours bleach and salt on her wounded body before pulling the skin from the unfortunate girl's face. When Allie's mother returns home from work and discovers the damaged door, she becomes terrified. She then appears directly in Allie's room, where she sees Art along with the remains of her daughter's damaged body, which is horrifying. Then, the following scene displays Art opening the door to Allie's house and greeting kids with treats and candy on top of Allie's mother's head. Some even claim that the candy is sticky. On the other side of town, Sienna is at a Halloween party along with her other friend Brooke and worries about where Allie is, but Brooke simply suggests she have fun. At the same time, back at home, Jonathan attempts to warn his mother about his father's symbolic sketches, but she's had enough of his strange interest and tears up the book in frustration, which upsets Jonathan. He yells at her, which results in a slap from his mom, so he runs out. Not long after, Barbara notices a noise downstairs. She then goes downstairs to view the family's car destroyed, and she suspects Jonathan did that all. But of course, Jonathan didn't do anything like that since he was out on the driveway. He discovers a weird car on the path of the house with the clown girl inside the vehicle, so he runs inside amid terror. Back at the party, Sienna receives a phone call from her mother, who immediately starts shouting about the way Jonathan has covered the car with shaving cream, toilet paper, as well as eggs. After the call, the mother starts cleaning the car when she discovers Art the clown inside. He shoots her face off with a shotgun, killing her right away. At the celebration, Sienna discovers a small clown girl amid the crowd, who terrifies her and eventually leads her into an uncontrollable position. But strangely, she appears to be the only person at the party who could see the small clown girl. Jonathan returns home to find his dead mother sitting at the dinner table. Art the clown then comes in and puts mashed potatoes on her plate before forcing the remainder of it into her face. Jonathan attempts to run away but gets stopped by the clown girl. He manages to get through the deadly team and rushes upstairs to get Sienna's sword. Unfortunately, Art uses an injection to calm him. The clown then takes up the sword and decides to carry it with him. Brooke and her boyfriend, Jeff, take Sienna home, but then Sienna receives a call from Jonathan informing her that he is at the destroyed carnival. But in actuality, the clown girl pretends to be Jonathan's voice. Worried about her brother's safety, Sienna leaves the car in the specified location. Jeff recommends they leave and assist Sienna in seeking her brother, but Brooke explains Sienna's brother has begun begun acting strangely since his father died. Sienna starts exploring the area and receives a text from Jonathan telling her that he is at the Terrifier, the carnival's haunted house. Jonathan awakens inside the Terrifier and finds the clown girl with her entire face destroyed. This scares him so much that he flees for his life. Meanwhile, Jeff goes outside to pee when Art unexpectedly shows up to stab him. He then breaks the car glass and drags Brooke out. However, she fights against him and manages to run. She enters the strange house to hide and asks Sienna for rescue. As she proceeds to run, she slips and falls in the bathroom, where Art finds and captures her. He immediately attacks her with a spiked bat and kills her. Not long after, Sienna enters the room and discovers Brooke's lifeless body and the clown standing close. Then Sienna notices Jonathan standing behind the inhumane clown and orders him to run, grabbing a piece of wood and striking him. Despite this, the clown proceeds to overpower and knock her up before leaving to search for Jonathan. Still alive, Sienna rises and discovers Art's weapon there. Meanwhile, Art locates the boy and cuts his cheek. Luckily, Sienna stops him by attacking from behind, hurting the clown using his own weapon. She takes her brother with her. However, due to her injuries, she feels unable to move. While she gathers her breath, Jonathan apologizes and reveals that everything has to be done using her father's sword. Then Art begins attacking Jonathan. Sienna arrives in order to assist her brother, but Art pushes her aside and smashes the boy again. The girl refuses to let up, crawling over the floor in order to defend her sibling. After being hit several times, Sienna succeeds in taking control of the chain and begins attacking the clown. She hits him with the object and kills him off with an iron rod inserted into his head. But the clown isn't dead. He rises and rushes at Sienna, strangling her. As the two struggle, Jonathan finds a gun wrapped in Art's leg and then grabs it. The boy then shoots Art, killing him once again. Sienna becomes unconscious from a lack of air, so Jonathan pushes her to wake her up. But when she wakes up, she finds her mother informing her that she is now safe. This is when things get strange, and then she hears Jonathan shouting that it isn't her mother she is speaking to, but it turns out it's the clown girl. When she gets her senses back, she discovers herself lonely in the room and searches for Jonathan. She ultimately discovers her brother lying in front of Art and starts hitting him, but he continues to stand, knocking her to the ground. The next time she gets up, she notices a doorway in front of her. The clown then stabs her using her father's sword and drops her into the portal. This takes her to the water cell within the clown cafe, which she dreamed of earlier in the film, where a few people covered in blood playfully joke around without rescuing her. She dies after becoming trapped. Then Art approaches Jonathan and starts eating his flesh. At that time, their father's sword lying close by starts to shine, restoring Sienna. She leaves the portal and takes up the sword, which she uses to kill Art the clown. Finally, she cuts off his head. She then runs to her brother and the siblings hug, sharing their love. At this point, the little clown girl goes into the room and picks up Art's cut-off head, carrying it away. Vicky, the only survivor from the first film, is shown in a mental hospital during the film's end. She is in labor and gives birth to Art the clown's head. As the nurse steps in, she screams in shock, while Vicky laughs, holding Art's head. We really hope you enjoyed today's recap of the movie Terrifier 2. Please leave a comment below on what you loved about the movie and why. Be sure to like the video, and please don't forget to support our channel by subscribing so you don't miss any amazing content. Until next time, light, camera, action! We look forward to seeing you in our next video.